YouTube. Let's see. Oh, that's better. Fingers have been touching my screen. Hold on. Sorry, YouTube. Okay, that's better. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hold on, fix this. A little. See, half my head. Happy Sunday, everybody. My YouTube screen looked real blurry, and I realized it was fingerprints. One of my children put their thumb up there. Oh, we done with this. What am I doing? Hold on. All right, beautiful people. Happy Sunday. It is January the 30th, 2022. We are on day 18 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1036. Today, we'll be reading tablet 2 of the lost book of Enki. And then we're going to pick up in my big toe on chapter 19. Then we'll probably just read the one chapter in that too, depending on how much time we got left. But I'm thinking we're just gonna get to the one chapter because chapter 19 is a little bit longer than some of the smaller ones. Mom, shalom, shalom. Uncle JB, Grand Rising. Talaine, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the Shema real quick so we can get started. Let's not waste any time today. The Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. It's a call for a wholehearted commitment. You cold? Girl, it's cold here too. I know y'all got did y'all get snow? Or it's just cold there? You in Florida. I saw your post. Come get y'all weather out my yard. That was funny. Okay, y'all. Call for wholehearted commitment. These are the commands, decrees, and regulations that the Lord your God commanded me to teach you. You must obey them in the land you are about to enter and occupy, and you and your children and grandchildren must fear the Lord your God as long as you live. If you obey all his decrees and commands, you will enjoy a long life. Listen closely, Israel, and be careful to obey. Then all will go well with you, and you will have many children in the land flowing with milk and honey, just as the Lord, the God of your ancestors, promised you. Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you're at home and when you're on the road, when you're going to bed and when you're getting up. Tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. The Lord your God will soon bring you into the land that he swore to give to you when he made a vow to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It is a land with large, prosperous cities that you did not build. The houses will be richly stocked with goods you did not produce. You will draw water from cisterns you did not dig, and you will eat from vineyards and olive trees you did not plant. When you have eaten your fill in this land, be careful not to forget the Lord who rescued you from slavery in the land of Egypt. You must fear the Lord your God and serve him. When you take an oath, you must only use his name. You must not worship any of the gods of the neighboring nations, for the Lord your God who lives among you is a jealous God. His anger will flare up against you, and he will wipe you from the face of the earth. You must not test the Lord your God as you did when you complained at Massa. You must diligently obey the commands of the Lord your God, all the laws and decrees he has given you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's sight, so all will go well with you. Then you will enter and occupy the good land that the Lord swore to give to your ancestors. You will drive out all the enemies living in the land, just as the Lord said you would. In the future, your children will ask you, what is the meaning of these laws, decrees, and regulations that the Lord our God has commanded us to obey? Then you must tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt. But the Lord brought us out of Egypt with his strong hand. The Lord did miraculous signs and wonders before our eyes, dealing terrifying blows against Egypt and Pharaoh and all his people. He brought us out of Egypt so he could give us this land he had sworn to give to our ancestors. And the Lord our God commanded us to obey all these decrees and to fear him, so that he can continue to bless us and preserve our lives, as he has done to this day. For we will be counted as righteous when we obey all the commands the Lord our God has given us. Nikki, good day. Tiffany, hey girl, hey. No, it's snow. Oh, 28. Oh my gosh, I think it's a little bit warmer here. In Florida, that's brutal. That is brutal. Okay, y'all, look. This is why I never eat anything before I start the video. I popped a few pecans in my mouth, and now my mouth is like over watering. Oh my gosh. That was not a good idea. I normally don't eat anything till after 12, but I decided let me get a couple pecans, and I just, but that was not a good idea. So forgive me if I'm stopping and swallowing too much. Okay. Hopefully it's done. I don't know. Maybe it's trying to push everything down through my system. Need the extra water to flow through or something. I don't know. Okay, y'all. The second tablet of the Lost Book of Enki. The synopsis of the second tablet. So it's given, with the synopsis, they don't really have periods here. They just given like different lines of the overall story that's found in the second tablet. So, and there's also here, I'm not sure if you have the book, there is a picture of, it says, a Babylonian depiction of the celestial battle. So let me show this to you. Hold on, let me show it to Facebook. It's weird. It half shows up here. Okay, is that blurry? Okay, that's for Facebook. And I lift it up for YouTube. I think that's clear. Okay. All right. Okay, synopsis of the second tablet. Olalu's flight in a nuclear-armed spacecraft. He sets his course to Ki, the seventh planet, Earth. Remember, Ki or Kai, planet Ki. You probably, depending on who you watch, you hear them say planet Kai, right? But it's another name that they labeled the Earth. It's another name for Earth. Okay. Olalu's flight in a nuclear-armed spacecraft. He sets his course to Kai, the seventh planet, Earth. While he expects to find gold on Earth, the solar system's cosmogony, Tiamat's water and gold, the appearance of Nibiru from outer space, the celestial battle and Tiamat's breakup, Earth, half of Tiamat, inherits her waters and gold. Kingu, Tiamat's main satellite, becomes the moon of Earth. Nibiru is destined to forever orbit the sun. Olalu's arrival and landing on Earth. Olalu, discovering gold, holds Nibiru's fate in his hands. So when I started reading through some of this tablet or listening to this, it made me wonder why all the nations of the world seem to be wanting to get to the moon. Like, why we're not okay with just staying here where we're at? Why do you have to what is your purpose really for trying to get to the moon and being the first to land on the moon? Like, all of these things I began to wonder about, right? Which is why I couldn't discount this base of what we see them doing here on the earth. It's something to it, right? We may not have it all the way down, but I'm telling y'all, there's something to it, and we're going to figure it out. Y'all willing? We're going to figure it out. The second tablet. The snow-hued earth, Olalu, set his course. Okay, so remember how I explained it yesterday. When they translated this, it's like the sentences are backwards. You can still understand it, but it's like the end of the sentence is first, and the first part of the sentence, or what should be the first part of the sentence, is last. So I'm going to try not to read too fast, but you'll get it. If you stayed yesterday, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. To snow-hued earth, Olalu set his course, just like that. That was backwards, right? Okay. To snow-hued earth, Olalu set his course. By a secret from the beginning, he chose his destination. To regions forbidden, Alalu made his way. No one has gone there before. No one at the hammered bracelet, a crossing, had attempted. A secret from the beginning, Alalu's course has determined. The fate of Nibiru in his hands, it placed, by a scheme, his kingship to make universal. On Nibiru, exile was certain. Their death itself he was chancing. In his scheme, risk was in the journey. Eternal glory of success was the reward. Riding like an eagle, Alalu the heavens scanned. Below, Nibiru was a ball in a voidness hanging. Alluring was its figure. Its radiance emblazoned the surrounding heavens. Its measure was enormous. Its belchings fire blazed forth. Its life-sustaining envelope, its hue of redness, was like a sea churning. In its midst, the breach was distinct, like a darkened wound. He looked down again. The wide breach turned into a small tub. He looked again. Nibiru's great ball turned into a small fruit. The next time he looked, in the wide, dark sea, Nibiru disappeared. So this is as he's leaving his home, every time he looks back, it says getting smaller and smaller. First, you can see the volcanoes and the belching of it, the fire. Now the next time you look back, his home looked as small as a fruit. Now he looked back, can't even see it anymore. It has disappeared into the darkness. Okay. The next time he looked, in the wide darkness sea, Nibiru disappeared. Remorse the heart of Alalu grasped. Fear held him in its hands. Decisions to hesitation turned. To halt in his tracks, Alalu considered. Then from audacity to halt in his tracks, Alalu considered. Then from audacity to decision, he returned. 100 leagues, 1,000 leagues, the chariot was coursing. 10,000 leagues, the chariot was journeying. In the wide heavens, darkness was the darkest. In the far away, distant stars, their eyes were blinking. More leagues Alalu traveled. Then a sight of great joy met his gaze. In the expanse of the heavens, the celestial's emissary was him greeting. Little Gaga, the one who shows the way, by its circuit, Alalu was greeting. To him a welcome extending. With a leaning gait before and after the celestial into, it was destined to travel. To face forward, to face backward, with two facings it was endowed. Its appearance as first to greet Alalu as a good omen he once considered. By the celestial gods he is welcome. So was his understanding. In his chariot, Alalu followed Gaga's path to the second god of the heavens it was directing. Soon celestial Antu, its name by King Enshar was given, in the deeps darkness was looming. Blue as pure waters was her hue, the upper waters she was the commencement. Alalu, by the sight's beauty, was enchanted. To course at a distance, he continued. In the far beyond, Antu's spouse began to shimmer by size, Antu's the equal. As his spouse's double, by a greenish blueness was An distinguished. A dazzling host encircled it on its side. With firm grounds they were provided. To the two celestials, Alalu bade a fond farewell. The path of Gaga still discerning, the way it was showing to its olden master, of whom it was once the counselor. To Anshan, the foremost prince of the heavens, the course was a turning. By the speeding chariot, Alalu, the ensnaring pull of Anshar could tell. With bright rings of dazzling colors, the chariot it was enchanting. His gaze, Alalu, to one side quickly turned, that which shows the way with might he diverted. A sight most welcome then to him appeared in the faraway heavens, the family's bright star he discerned. A sight most frightening, the revelation followed. A giant monster, in its destiny moving, upon the sun a darkening cast, Kishar its creator swallowed. Frightening was the occurrence, an evil omen, Alalu thought indeed. The giant Kishar, foremost of the firm planets, its size was overwhelming. Swirling storms obscured its face, colored spots they moved about, a host beyond counting, some quickly, some slowly, the celestial god encircled. Troublesome were their ways, back and forth they were surging. Kishar itself a spell was casting, divine lightings it was thrusting. As Alalu looked on, his course became upset. His direction was distracted, his doings became confused. Then the deepest darkening began to depart. Kishar on his destiny continued to circuit. Slowly moving its veil from the shining sun, it lifted. The one from the beginning came fully into view. Joy in Alalu's heart was not long lasting. Beyond the fifth planet, the utmost danger was lurking. So indeed he knew. The hammered bracelet ahead was raining. To demolish it was awaiting. So the hammered bracelet, apparently, they're referring to the I guess the constellation or the multiple planets in this particular orbit. That's what I gather. I could be wrong. If somebody know what that is, but that's what I've been picking up. I haven't really, maybe I just looked over it and didn't understand it, but I'm thinking the hammered bracelet is the ring of planets, so to speak. Joy, shalom. Beyond the fifth planet, the utmost danger was lurking. So indeed he knew. The hammered bracelet ahead was raining. To demolish it was awaiting. Of rocks and boulders it was together hammered. Like orphans with no mother, they banded together. Surging back and forth, a bygone destiny they followed. Their doings were loathsome, troubling were their ways. Nibiru's probing chariots, like praying lions, they devoured. The precious gold needed for surviving, they refused to dislodge. The chariot of Alalu toward the hammered bracelet was headlong moving. The ferocious boulders in close combat to boldly face. Alalu, the firestones in his chariot, more strongly stirred up. That which shows the way with steady hands he directed. The ominous boulders against the chariot charged forward like an enemy in battle attacking. Toward them, Alalu, a death-dealing missile from the chariot, let loose. Then another and another against the enemy, the terror weapons he thrust. As frightening warriors, the boulders turned back, a path for Alalu granting. Like by a spell, the hammered bracelet, a doorway to the king, it opened. In the dark deepness, Alalu, the heavens could clearly see. By the bracelet's ferocity, he was not defeated. His mission was not ended. In the distance, the sun's fiery ball, its brilliance was sending forth. Welcoming rays toward Alalu, it was emitting. Before it, a red-brown planet on its circuit was coursing. The sixth in the count of celestial gods it was. Alalu could but glimpse it. On its destined course from Alalu's path, it was quickly moving. Then snow-hued earth appeared, the seventh in the celestial count. Yeah, okay, so the hammered bracelet is the different planets, so to speak. As he's coming to earth, he's passing by everything else he's saying. That's what it's describing, everything that's passing by. And it's been apparently a rocky ride because he apparently had to let loose some of his missiles. Maybe it was meteors or something. I don't know. Yahuwah is one. Yes, oh great spirit, fill us and guide us wherever we live in this world. Okay. Then snow-hued earth appeared, the seventh in the celestial count. Toward the planet, Alalu set his course to a destination most inviting. Smaller than the Nibiru was its alluring ball. Weaker than the Nibiru's was its attracting net. Its atmosphere, thinner than the Nibiru's was, clouds were within it swirling. Below, the earth to 3 regions was divided, snow white at the top and on the bottom, blue and brown in between. Deftly, Alalu spread the chariot's arresting wings around the earth's ball to circle. In the middle region, dry lands and watery oceans he could discern. The beam that penetrates downward he directed, earth's innards, like the insides, innards, INNARDS. The beam that penetrates downward he directed, earth's innards to detect. I have attained it, ecstatically he shouted. Gold, much gold, the beam has indicated. It was beneath the dark-hued region. In the waters it was too. With pounding heart, Alalu a decision was contemplating. Shall he on the dry land land his chariot? I think I read it right. Shall he on the dry land his chariot bring down, perchance to crash and die? Shall he to the waters his course direct, to perchance into oblivion sink? Which way shall he survive? Will he the treasured gold discover? In the eagle's seat, Alalu was not staring. To fate's hands the chariot he entrusted. Fully caught in the earth's attracting net, the chariot was moving faster. Its spread wings became aglow. Earth's atmosphere like an oven was. Then the chariot shook, emitting a mortifying thunder. With abruptness, the chariot crashed, with a suddenness altogether stopping. Senseless from the shaking, stunned by the crash, Alalu was without moving. Then he opened his eyes and knew he was among the living, and the planet of gold he victoriously arrived. Now this is the account of the earth and its gold. It is an account of the beginning and how the celestial gods created were. In the beginning, when in the above the gods in the heavens had not been called into being, and in the below, key or earth, the firm ground had not yet been named. Alone in the void, there existed Apsu, their primordial begetter. In the heights of the above, the celestial gods had not yet been created. This is where the story of Genesis seems to pick up right here. They changed a few of the words, but this is where Genesis actually begins. The book of Genesis, right? And let me just go back. Now this is the account of the earth and its gold. It is an account of the beginning and how the celestial gods created were. In the beginning, when in the above the gods in the heavens had not been called into being. And if you read biblical texts or Jasher or Jubilees, it doesn't say gods, it'll just say angels. They translated it to angels, right? Okay. In the beginning, when in the above the gods in the heavens had not been called into being, and in the below, Ki or Kai, the firm ground had not yet been named. Alone in the void there existed Apsu, their primordial begetter. In the heights of the above, the celestial gods had not yet been created. In the waters of the below, the celestial gods had not yet appeared. Above and below, the gods had not yet been formed. Destinies were not yet decreed. No reed had yet been formed. No marshland had appeared. Alone did Apsu reign in the void. Then, by his winds, the primordial waters were mingled. A divine and artful spell Apsu cast. A divine and artful spell Apsu upon the waters cast. On the void's deep he poured a sound sleep. Tiamat, the mother of all, as a spouse for himself he fashioned. A celestial mother, a watery beauty she was indeed. Beside him, Apsu, little Mummu then brought forth. Mummu is Mummu. Beside him, Apsu, little Mumu, No, Mamu. Yeah, Mamu. Let me get it right. Beside him, Apsu, little Mamu, then brought forth. As his messenger, he appointed him a gift for Tiamat to present. A gift resplendent to his spouse, Apsu granted. A shining metal, the everlasting gold, for her alone to possess. Then it was that the two their waters mingled, divine children between them to bring forth. They had sex. Male and female were created. Male and female were the celestials created. Lamu and Lahamu by names they were called. In the below did Apsu and Tiamat make them an abode. Before they had grown in age and in stature, in the waters of the above, Anshar and Kishar were formed. Surpassing their brothers in size they were. As a celestial couple, the two were fashioned. A son and An in the distant heavens was their heir. Then Antu to be his spouse, as An's equal was brought forth. As a boundary of the upper waters, their abode was made. Thus were three heavenly couples. Thus were three heavenly couples, below and above, in the depths created. By names they were called. The family of Apsu with Mamu and Tiamat they formed. At that time, Nibiru had not yet been seen. The earth was not yet called into being. Mingled were the heavenly waters by a hammered bracelet. They were not yet separated. So think about the what they call it. During the time of Peleg, right? They call it they say like when the earth began to separate. It's called something. I forgot, it's right down the tip of my tongue. Uncle Nathaniel, peaceful greetings. It'll come to me. Somebody might put it. It's the Pangea. That's what it is. Pangea, right? Okay. Keep all these things in mind. Let me go back a little bit. Then Antu, to be his spouse, as An's equal, was brought forth. As a boundary of the upper waters, their abode was made. Thus were three heavenly couples, below and above, in the depths created. By names they were called. The family of Apsu with Mamu and Tiamat they formed. At that time, Nibiru had not yet been seen. The earth was not yet called into being. Mingled were the heavenly waters. By a hammered bracelet, they were not yet separated. At that time, circuits were not yet fully fashioned. The destinies of the gods were not yet firmly decreed. The celestial kinfolk banded together. Erratic were their ways. Their ways to Apsu were verily loathsome. Tiamat, getting no rest, was aggrieved and raged. A throng to march by her side she formed. A growling, raging host against the sons of Apsu she brought forth. Withal 11 of this kind she brought forth. She made the firstborn, King Gu, chief among them. When the celestial gods of this did hear, for counsel they rallied. King Su she has elevated to rank as and commanded to, King Su she has elevated to rank as and command to him she gave. To each other they said, the tablet of destiny to his chest she has attached, his own circuit to acquire. To battle against the gods of her offspring, King Gu she instructed. Who shall stand up to Tiamat? The gods asked each other. None in their circuits stepped forward, none a weapon for battle would bear. At that time, in the heart of the deep, a god was engendered. In a chamber of fates, a place of destinies, he was born. By an artful creator he was fashioned. The son of his own son he was. That's actually the son, S-O-N, of his own son, and it's capital S-U-N. By an artful creator was he fashioned. The son of his own son he was. From the deep where he was engendered, the god from his family, and a rushing departed, a gift of his creator, the seed of life, with him away he carried. To the void he set his course, a new destiny he was seeking. The first to glimpse the wandering celestial was the ever-watchful Antu. Alluring was his figure, a radiance he was beaming. Lordly was his gait, exceeding great was his course. Of all the gods he was the loftiest, surpassing theirs his circuit was. The first to glimpse him was Antu. Her breast by child never sucked. Come, be my son, she called to him. Let me your mother become. She cast her net and made him welcome, made his course for the purpose suited. Her words filled the newcomer's heart with pride. The one who would nurse him made him haughty. His head to double size grew larger. 4 members at his sides he sprouted. He moved his lips in acceptance. A godly fire from them blazed forth. Let me go back and read that again. Come, be my son, she called to him. Let me your mother become. She cast her net and made him welcome, made his course for the purpose suited. Her words filled the newcomer's heart with pride. The one who would nurse him made him haughty. His head to double size grew larger. 4 members at his sides he sprouted. He moved his lips in acceptance. A godly fire from them blazed forth. Toward Antu his course he turned, his face to An soon to show. When An saw him, my son, with exaltation he shouted. To leadership you shall be consigned. A host by your side will be your servants. Let Nibiru be your name, as crossing forever known. He bowed to Nibiru, turning his face at Nibiru's passage. He spread his net for Nibiru. 4 servants he brought forth. His host by his side to be the south wind, the north wind, the east wind, and the west wind. With a joyful heart, and to Anshar, his forebear, the arrival of Nibiru announced. So at this point, we know that there's a place named Nibiru and somebody that is actually named Nibiru, which is not so far-fetched because we name our children after places and we also name places after our children. We give street names, the names of our children, so that didn't seem too far-fetched to me, right? And matter of fact, as I began to wake up, I recognized Israel before I recognized, it's weird. Like I read it, but it didn't click. I was like, wait a minute. So Israel is actually a people and it is actually a place. And that was the biggest revelation for me. I was just like, wow, why did I never get that before? Okay, it's kind of like the same thing. Let Nibiru be your name, as crossing forever known. He bowed to Nibiru, turning his face at Nibiru's passage. He spread his net for Nibiru. 4 servants he brought forth. His host by his side to be the south wind, the north wind, the east wind, the west wind. With a joyful heart, and to Anshar, his forebear, the arrival of Nibiru he announced. Anshar, upon his hearing, Gaga, who was by his side, as an emissary, sent forth words of wisdom to An deliver, a task to Nibiru assign. He charged Gaga to give voice to what was in his heart. To An thus say, Tiamat, she who bore us, now detests us. She has set up a warring host. She is furious with rage. Against the gods, her children, 11 warriors marched by her side. Kingu among them she elevated, a destiny to his chest she attached without right. No god among us against her venom can stand up. Her host in us all has fear established. Let Nibiru become our avenger. Let him vanquish Tiamat. Let him save our lives. For from decree a fate, let him go forth and face our mighty foe. Now, when I read this, I thought about something that I had been hearing, right? Now, maybe the people that were saying it didn't quite know what they were saying, but I think I found the origination for what I heard some people say. Nibiru, calling Nibiru, like you see these videos on YouTube about this rogue planet or this planet that keeps coming into our atmosphere. They can see it, or they call it like two suns or whatever, not China's artificial sun. But they call it another planet. I haven't personally seen it. I haven't personally seen it here from Chesapeake, Virginia. You know, they spray the skies too much for us to see anything that's going on up there, right? So I started thinking about some of the videos that some pretty well-known YouTubers do. Well, they'll call it Planet Hell, right? Anybody should know who I'm talking about just by mentioning that particular planet name that this particular YouTuber used to say. But also, people call it Nibiru, or the Avenger, or it's going to rain down justice on Tiamat or here on Earth. Like, let Nibiru be our avenger, right? Or let Planet Hell avenge us here, Israel on the earth. Planet Hell's gonna burn you up. All that. So all this began to click what I was hearing different people say as I began to read this, and I'm wondering, had they read this, or is what they're saying something that they just kind of heard through the grapevine, that they're just passing along without like full understanding of what they're saying, right? So all these thoughts is like at the forefront of my mind now. I'm like, okay, this needs to be on the table as well, right? I'm just bringing out different things in my thought process as I was going through this and listening to different people, right? Okay, listen. Let me go back up a little bit. Tiamat, she who bore us, now detests us. She has set up a warring host. She is furious with rage. Against the gods, her children, 11 warriors march by her side. Kingu, among them she elevated. A destiny to his chest she attached without right. No god among us against her venom can stand up. Her host in us all has fear established. Let Nibiru become our avenger. Let him vanquish Tiamat. Let him save our lives. For him decree a fate. Let him go forth and face our mighty foe. To An, Gaga departed. He bowed before him. The words of Anshar he repeated. And to Nibiru, his forebears word. And to Nibiru, his forebears' words repeated. Gaga's message to him he revealed. To the words Nibiru with wonder listened, of the mother who would her children devour, with fascination he heard. His heart, without saying, to set out against Tiamat, him already prompted. He opened his mouth to An and Gaga, he thus said, if indeed I am to vanquish Tiamat, your lives to save, convene the gods to assembly, my destiny proclaim supreme. Let all the gods agree in council to make me the leader, bow to my command. Trina, hey girl, hey. Now, think about the book of Enoch. Remember, they've taken pieces of the Bible from everywhere, right? From all the books that are split up from the original text where they all came from, right? So as we read a little bit before, that seems to be the place where Genesis was taken, and now it's talking about the rebellion, right? Think about the book of Enoch when he was going in explaining how one angel became the leader, and they started naming them Semyaza and all the other angels. We're gonna make somebody the leader, and we're gonna go down here, we're gonna do this, right? Okay, so keep all of this in mind. All of these pieces, they fit somewhere together. To the words Nibiru with wonder listen, of the mother who would her children devour, with fascination he heard. His heart, without saying, to set out against Tiamat, him already prompted. He opened his mouth to An and Gaga, he thus said, if indeed I am to vanquish Tiamat, your lives to save, convene the gods to assembly, my destiny proclaim supreme. Let all the gods agree in council to make me the leader, bow to my command. When Lamu and Lahamu heard this, they cried out with anguish. Strange was the demand, its meaning cannot be fathomed. Thus they said, the gods who decreed The gods who decree the fates with each other consulted. To make Nibiru their avenger, they all agreed. To him an exalted fate decreed. From this day on, unchallengeable shall be your commandments. To him they said, No one among us gods shall transgress your bounds. Go, Nibiru, be our avenger. They fashioned for him a princely circuit toward Tiamat to proceed. They gave Nibiru blessings. They gave Nibiru awesome weapons. Anshar, 3 more winds of Nibiru brought forth, the evil wind, the whirlwind, the matchless wind. Kishar, with a blazing flame, filled his body, a net to enfold Tiamat therewith. Thus ready for battle, Nibiru toward Tiamat directly set his course. Now it's changing into another section. Now this is the account of the celestial battle, and how the earth had come to be, and of Nibiru's destiny. The Lord went forth, his fated course he followed. Toward the raging Tiamat he set his face, a spell with his lips he uttered. As a cloak for protection, he, the pulsar and the emitter, put on. With a fearsome radiance his head was crowned. On his right he posted the smiter, and on his left the repeller he placed. The 7 winds, his host of helpers, like a storm he sent forth. Toward the raging Tiamat he was rushing, clamoring for battle. The gods thronged about him, then from his path they departed. To scan Tiamat and her helpers alone he was advancing. The scheme of Kingu, her host's commander, to conceive. When he saw valiant Kingu, blurred became his vision. As he gazed upon the monsters, his direction was distracted. His course became upset. His doings were confused. Tiamat's band tightly her encircled. With terror they trembled. Tiamat to her roots gave a shudder. A mighty roar she emitted. On Nibiru she cast a spell, engulfed him with her charms. The issue between them was joined. The battle was unavoided. Face to face they came. Tiamat and Nibiru against each other they were advancing. They for battle approached. They pressed on for single combat. The Lord spread his net to encompass her. He cast it. And notice how they're calling Nibiru Lord, right? So when we're reading that, a lot of times, I'm wondering now which particular Lord is being talked about, right? Okay, I'm just saying. Keep all these things in mind. They for battle approached. They pressed on for single combat. The Lord spread his net to encompass her. He cast it. With fury, Tiamat cried out like one possessed. She lost her senses. The evil wind, which had been behind him, Nibiru drove forward. In her face, he let it loose. She opened her mouth, the evil wind to swallow, but could not close her lips. The evil wind charged her belly. Into her innards it made its way. Her innards were howling. Her body was distended. Her mouth was wide open. Through the opening, Nibiru shot a brilliant arrow, a lightning most divine. It pierced her innards, her belly, it tore apart. It tore into her womb. It split apart her heart. Having thus subdued her, her life breath extinguished. The lifeless body Nibiru surveyed like a slaughtered carcass, Tiamat now was. Beside their lifeless mistress, her 11 helpers trembled with terror. In Nibiru's net they were captured. Unable they were to flee. Kingu, who by Tiamat was made the host chief, was among them. The Lord put him in fetters. To his lifeless mistress he bound him. He wrest from Kingu the tablets of destinies unrightly to him given, stamped it with his own seal, fastened the destiny to his own chest, which makes me think about the high priest's breastplate, right? It's the breastplate of destinies, or the tablets of destinies. Just putting it all on the table. Just thinking about everything, right? Okay. In Nibiru's net they were captured. Unable they were to flee. Kingu, who by Tiamat was made the host chief, was among them. The Lord put him in fetters. To his lifeless mistress he bound him. He wrested him from Kingu the tablets of destinies unrightly to him given, stamped it with his own seal, fastened the destiny to his own chest. The others of Tiamat's band as captives he bound. In his circuit he them ensnared. He trampled them underfoot, then cut up to pieces. He bound them all to his circuit. To turn around he made them backward to course. From the place of the battle Nibiru then departed to the gods who had him appointed the victory to announce. He made a circuit about Apsu to Kishar and Anshar. To Kishar and Anshar he journeyed. Gaga came out to greet him as a herald to the others. He then journeyed. Beyond An and Antu, Nibiru to the abode in the deep proceeded. The fate of lifeless Tiamat and of Kingu he then considered. To Tiamat, whom he had subdued, the Lord Nibiru then returned. He made his way to her, paused to view her lifeless body, to artfully divide the monster in his heart he was planning. Then, as a muscle, into two parts he split her chest from her lower parts he separated. Her inner channels he cut apart, her golden veins he beheld with wonder. Trodden upon her hinder part, the Lord her upper part completely severed. The north wind, his helper, from his side he summoned. To thrust away the severed head, the wind he commanded, in the void to place it. Nibiru's wind upon Tiamat then hovered, sweeping upon her gushing waters. Nibiru shot a lightning. To the north wind he gave a signal. In a brilliance was Tiamat's upper part to a region unknown carried. With her the bound Kingu was also exile, of the severed part a companion to be. The hinder parts fate Nibiru then considered. As an everlasting trophy of the battle he wished it to be, a constant reminder in the heavens, the place of the battle to enshrine. With his mace, the hinder part he smashed to bits and pieces, then strung them together as a band to form a hammered bracelet. Locking them together, as watchmen he stationed them, a firmament to divide the waters from the waters, the upper waters above the firmament from the waters below he separated. Let me go back. A firmament to divide the waters from the waters, the upper waters above the firmament from the waters below it he separated. Artful works Nibiru thus fashioned. The Lord then crossed the heavens to survey the regions. From Apsu's quarter to the abode of Gaga he measured the dimensions. The edge of the deep Nibiru then examined. Toward his birthplace he cast his gaze. He paused and hesitated. Then to the firmament, the place of the battle, he slowly returned. Passing again in Apsu's region of the sun's missing spouse, he thought with remorse. He gazed upon Tiamat's wounded half. To her upper part he gave attention. Waters of life, her bounty from the wounds were still pouring. Her golden veins Apsu's rays were reflecting. The seed of life, his creator's legacy, Nibiru then remembered. When he trod on Tiamat, when he split her asunder, to her the seed he surely imparted. He addressed words to Apsu, to him thus saying, with your warming rays, to the wounds give healing. Let the broken part new life be given, in your family as a daughter to be. Let the waters to one place be gathered. Let firm land appear. By the firm land let her be called Ki, henceforth her name to be. Apsu, to the words of Nibiru, gave heed. Let the earth join my family, Ki, firm land of the below. let earth her name henceforth be. I'm going to read that again. Let the waters to one place be gathered. Let firm land appear. By firm land let her be called Ki or Kai. Henceforth her name to be. Apsu to the words of Nibiru gave heed. Let the earth join my family. Ki, firm land of the below. Let earth her name henceforth be. By her turning, let there day and night be. In the days my healing rays to her shall I provide. Let Kingu be a creature of the night. To shine at night I shall appoint him, earth's companion, the moon forever to be. Nibiru, the words of Apsu, with satisfaction heard. He crossed the heavens and surveyed the regions. To the gods who had him elevated, he granted permanent stations. Their circuits he destined that none shall transgress nor fall short of each other. He strengthened the heavenly locks. Gates on both sides he established. An outermost abode he chose for himself. Beyond Gaga were its dimensions. The great circuit to be his destiny, he beseeched Apsu for him to decree. All the gods spoke up from their stations. Let Nibiru's sovereignty be surpassing. Think about the book of Enoch and all the stations of the stars and the constellation that it's talking about. This is what that is talking about in the book of Enoch. I'm just like my aunt say, get the chicken out of here. So as all this was clicking, I'm like, holy crap. Let me keep reading. The great circuit to be his destiny. If you go into the book of Enoch, is Enoch chapters 72 through 83. Yeah. For the constellation of stars where you see all of this. Enoch chapters 72 through 83. Okay. The great circuit to be his destiny, he beseeched Apsu for him to decree. All the gods spoke up from their stations. Let Nibiru's sovereignty be surpassing. Most radiant of the gods he is. Let him truly the son of the sun be. And it's that two sons, right? Let him truly the son, S-O-N, of the sun, S-U-N, be. The son of the sun, right? The sun gives us strength to grow. We are sons of the sun. All right. Most radiant of the gods he is. Let him truly the son of the sun be. From his quarter, Apsu gave his blessing. Nibiru shall hold the crossing of heaven and earth. Crossing shall be his name. The gods shall cross over, neither above nor below. He shall hold the central position. The shepherd of the gods he shall be. The shar shall be his circuit, that his destiny will be, a shar shall be his circuit, that his destiny will forever be. And then it's going to the next section where we have 53 minutes. Let me keep reading. Let me see how much more we got. Oh, we're going to finish this tablet. Okay, we about right there. Okay, we only got a couple more pages. Okay. Now, this is the account of how the olden times began, and the era that in the annals, the golden era, E-R-A, and the era that in the annals, the golden era by name was known, and how from Nibiru to earth, the missions went the goal to obtain. The escape of Alalu from Nibiru was its beginning. With great understanding was Alalu endowed, much knowledge he by learning acquired. By his forefather and Shargal of the heavens and the circuits, much knowledge was amassed. By Enshar was knowledge greatly augmented. Of that Alalu made much learning. With the sages he discoursed. Savants and commanders he consulted. Thus was the knowledge of the beginning ascertained. Thus did Alalu this knowledge possess. The gold in the hammered bracelet was the confirmation. The gold in the hammered bracelet of gold in Tiamat's upper half was the indication. Tiamat is also another name for Earth, right? We got Ki, Tiamat. If you hear different people talking, Tiamat probably sounded familiar to you, right? Multiple names that they've given to the Earth, right? The last one so far, it's the planet Ki, or the land of Ki, the land of Kai, however you want to pronounce it. I hear it being pronounced both ways. I think I like Kai. I like Kai, but I keep saying Ki. Anyway, I digress. At the planet of gold, Alalu victoriously arrived, his chariot with a thunder crashing. With a beam, he scanned the place, his whereabouts to discover. His chariot on dry land descended. At the edge of extended marshes, it landed. He put on an eagle's helmet. He put on a fish suit. The chariot's hatch he opened. At the open hatch, he stopped to wonder. Dark-hued was the ground, blue-white were the skies. No sound there was no one to bid him welcome. Alone on an alien planet he stood, perchance from Nibiru forever exiled. To the ground himself he lowered, to the ground himself he lowered down. He lowered, on the dark-hued soil he stepped. There were hills in a distance, nearby much vegetation there was. Ahead of him there were marshes. Into the marsh he stepped. By the water's coolness he shuddered. Back to the dry ground he stepped. Alone on an alien planet he stood. With thoughts he was possessed. Of a spouse and offspring with longing he remembered. Also, with this, I also wonder, I'm not quite sure yet, but I've been wondering if this is originally where the story of Satan originated, right? I saw him fall like lightning from heaven, right? First one down, he would kick you out. You going down there and think about what ensued between the gods. Well, ooh, I'm on the run now. I can't stay here. I got to go, right? And think about as he was getting through the belt, the lightning. Remember it talked about the lightning that came from his craft, I guess, the breakthrough. His ride was kind of bumpy. He used the lightning to break through whatever it was so he can get through. Then he crashed, landed on Earth. I wonder. Don't take my word for it. I'm just wondering. Thinking about everything that I've learned in my life up until this point. Everything is still on the table right now. I'm trying to sort it out. Y'all help me if you know. Let's sort this table together. Put this puzzle together the right way. All right. To the ground himself he lowered. On the dark-hued soil he stepped. There were hills in a distance. Nearby, much vegetation there was. Ahead of him, you got it? Okay. Ahead of him, there were marshes. Into the marsh he stepped. By the water's coolness he shuddered. Back to the dry ground he stepped. Alone on an alien planet he stood. With thoughts he was possessed. Of spouse and offspring with longing he remembered. Was he forever from Nibiru exiled? Of that again and again he wondered. To the chariots he soon returned, with food and drink to be sustained. Then deep sleep him overcame, a powerful slumber. How long he slept, he could not remember. What awakened him, he could not tell. A brightness there was outside, a brilliance on Nibiru unseen. A pole from the chariot he extended, with a tester it was equipped. It breathed the planet's air, compatibility it indicated. The chariot's hatch he opened. At the open hatch he took a breath. Another breath he took, then another and another. The air of Kai indeed compatible was. Alalu clapped his hands, a song of joy he was singing. Without an eagle's helmet, without a fish suit, to the ground himself he lowered. The brightness outside was blinding. The rays of the sun were overpowering. Also, think about if you're familiar with some of the hieroglyphs, some of the more ancient hieroglyphs, think about some of the hieroglyphic pictures where a man had on a fish suit and like an eagle's head, right? So all of this stuff has come flooding back to my mind. Now I'm like, okay, there's something to this. I'm almost on to the real deal here. The brightness outside was blinding. The rays of the sun were overpowering. Into the chariot he returned. A mask for the eyes he donned. He picked up the carried weapon. He picked up the handy sampler. To the ground himself he lowered. On the dark-hued soil he stepped. He made his way toward the marshes. Dark greenish were the waters. By the marsh's edge there were pebbles. Olalu picked a pebble. Into the marsh he thrust it. In the marsh, moving, his eyes glimpsed the waters with fishes. It says fit. Well, I don't say fish. I think fishes is improper. The waters with fish were filled. I think fish is already plural. It's singular and it's plural to me. I could be wrong, but I just like fish. Fishes sounds wrong to me. The waters with fish were filled. Into the marsh the sampler he lowered, the murky waters to consider. For drinking the water was not fit, Olalu greatly disappointing. He turned away from the marshes. Into the direction of the hills he went. He made his way through vegetation. Bushes to trees gave way. The place was like an orchard. The trees with fruits were laden. By their sweet smell enticed, Olalu picked a fruit. In his mouth he put it. Sweet was the smell, sweeter was the taste. Olalu greatly it delighted. Away from the sun's rays, Olalu was walking. Toward the hill he set his direction. Among the trees, a wetness under his feet he sensed, a sign of close-by waters. In the direction of the wetness he set his course. In the midst of the forest there was a pond, a pool of silent waters. Into the pond the sampler he lowered, for drinking the water was good. Olalu laughed, and unstopping laughter seized him. The air was good, the water for drinking was fit, there was fruit, there were fish. With eagerness Olalu bent down, together his hands he cupped, water to his mouth he brought. A coolness did the water have, a taste from Nibiru's water different. Once more he drank, then with fright he asunder jumped. A hissing sound he could hear, a slithering body beside the poolside was moving. His carried weapon he seized, a blast of its ray toward the hissing he directed. The moving stopped, the hissing was ended. To examine the danger, Olalu stepped forward. The slithered body lay still. Dead was the creature, a sight most strange. Like a rope, its long body was. Without hands or feet was the body. Fierce eyes were in its small head. Out of its mouth a long tongue was sticking. A sight on Nibiru never beheld it was. A creature of another world. Yes, son.
Do you still have that checklist that the DMV gave you?
Yes. I think I put it in my safe, maybe?
Can we do, because that's a simulation of when he does it, and I'm trying to make sure I get this done.
I mean, I could Google it. I think I put it in the safe, what you call it, but I may have threw it away because you got your official card in the mail. Because when I was cleaning out the safe the other day, I think I may have threw it away. Let me check. Give me a few minutes. Fierce eyes were in its small head. Out of its mouth a long tongue was sticking. A sight on the Nibiru never beheld it was. A creature of another world. Was it the orchard's guardian? Olalu by himself pondered. Was it the water's master? He asked himself. In his carried flask he collected some water. With alertness to the chariot he made his way. The sweet fruits he also picked. To the chariot he set his course. The brightness of the sun's rays was greatly diminished. Darkness it was as the chariot he reached. The shortness of the day Alalu pondered, its shortness him it amazed. From the direction of the marshes, a cool lightness on the horizon was rising. A white-hued ball in the heavens was quickly rising. Kingu, the earth's companion, he now beheld. Remember, Kingu is what? It's the moon, right? We can tell by the description. Kingu. A white-hued ball in the heavens was quickly rising. Kingu, the earth's companion, he now beheld. What in the accounts of the beginning his eyes the truth could now see. The planets and their circuits, the hammered bracelet, Ki, the earth, Kingu, its moon, all created were, all by names were called. In his heart, Alalu knew one more truth a beholding needed. The gold, the means of salvation to be was, The gold, the means of salvation to be found was needed. If truth be in the beginning tales, if by the waters the golden veins of Tiamat were washed, in the waters of Ki, its cut off half, gold must be found. With hands unsteady, Alalu, the tester from the chariot's pole, dismantled. With trembling hands, the fish suit he donned, the fast arriving daylight eagerly awaiting. At daybreak, the chariot he exited. To the marshes he quickly stepped. Into deeper waters he waded. The tester into the waters he inserted. Its illuminated face he eagerly watched. In his chest his heart was pounding. The water's contents was the tester indicating by symbols and numbers, its findings disclosing. Then Alalu's heartbeat stopped. There is gold in the waters, the tester was telling. Unsteady on his legs, Alalu stepped forward. Deeper into the marshes he made his way. Again he the tester into the waters inserted. Again the tester gold announced. Again the tester gold announced. A cry of triumph from Alalu's throat emanated. Nibiru's fate in his hand now was. Back to the chariot he made his way. The fish suit he took off. The commander's seat he occupied. The tablets of destinies that knows all circuits he enlivened. To Nibiru's circuit to find the direction. The speaker of words he stirred up. Toward Nibiru the words to carry. Then to Nibiru words he uttered. Thus he was saying, the words of the great Alalu to Anu on Ibiru are directed. On another world I am. The gold of salvation I have found. The fate of Nibiru is in my hands. To my conditions you must give heed. And that is the end of the second tablet. It's getting good, y'all, ain't it? It's getting so good. We're going to pause right here. We're at 1 hour and 7 minutes. Okay. So y'all think about this. Pull up y'all Bibles and stuff. Pull up the book of Enoch, Jasher, all of these things. Look at and try and match some of these things up, especially Enoch. The book of Enoch, for the first part of this, is going to be key, right? I'm telling you, just pull it up and see. You ain't got to pull up the ones I tell you. Go get your favorite ones. Go buy a brand new one from the store that you know there ain't no shenanigans been all up and through by anybody else, right? I'm telling you, do your own research. Pull this stuff up and actually look at it, y'all. Okay. We're going to pause right here. Let me just do this. Okay, so when we get to the third tablet, yeah, you read Enoch and Jasher. Get Jubilees too. Read Jubilees. Like Genesis, Jubilees, Jasher. They all should be read like together. You can't read them simultaneously, but if you put them in order, I would say Enoch would come. The book of Enoch would come first. Genesis, I would put absolutely last. I would absolutely put Genesis last. I would say the book of Enoch, the book of Jubilees, then Jasher, then Genesis. That's what I would say. And Genesis is just going to give you like the summation of the previous 3 books, but not even all the information whatsoever. But you need it all together to see the bigger story. Okay, so trying to see when they get into where humans were actually created. Is it the 3rd tablet? I'm double checking, y'all. Hold on. Oh, okay. Hold on. No, it's not this. I think it's the 4th tablet, because it's building up to that right there. They gonna tell you why. I'm like, well, it's kind of interesting. I don't know yet. Hold on. Oh, they talking about it. They talking about doing it in the 4th tablet. Okay, we got the medical officer, Nima. Okay, so I think it's the 5th. Hold on, let me see. You did look. I just found out about these tablets the other day from my uncle. He mentioned a particular author, and I went looking into it. But what was crazy was when my uncle called me last week, he said, have you heard of this guy, Zachariah Ascension? What was crazy was in the previous couple of days, that name kept popping up as I was researching stuff. But I didn't go looking into it. But I recognized the name because of how they spell Zachariah. I was like, oh, that's a fun way to spell Zachariah. And I was like, Stitching? No, it's Sitchin. So when he said it, I'm like, I've heard of it. It's been coming up in the past couple of days. I'm definitely going to look into him now, right? And by looking into him is how I came across these tablets, right? And not just these, some of the, you can find some of the Babylonian tablets. What's the other one? I think it was Joy that mentioned it. The Elish, I forget the names. The Elish something or something Elish. Joy here? What is it, Joy? The Elish something. What is it? And also it's a couple of them, which all this stuff is going to start popping up. And then if you watch the History Channel enough or sci-fi channels, some of the things you're going to start recognizing because they mention it throughout a lot of different stuff, especially if you're not like a history buff, research, or maybe not science. This may be like the first time you're hearing some of this, but even some movies, they mention a lot of this stuff. Yeah, Enuma Elish. Thank you. The Enuma Elish. Go look into the Enuma Elish, right? That is, it's like the Babylonian. It's like the Babylonian translation of this, the Enuma Elish. So go look into that too. You can find it. It's quite a few people that actually read that on YouTube. So you can just Google it, YouTube it, and you'll find that. But listen to that as well. I think I'll put it up there so y'all can see the Enuma Elish. Okay, so we get into the Ijiji. Okay, they start talking about it in the 5th tablet on how to artificially fashion primitive workers. That's what they call them, primitive workers, right? And that gets pretty fun. It just make you start thinking about some stuff, right? Just keep everything on the table. We're not discounting any information, but we're gonna take all the information in, see what is shenanigans and what is truth, right? Based on what we can see, touch, feel, hear, experiences here in the now, we can test some of these things and just kind of see, right? Okay, so we still got a couple more tablets before we actually get to the fashioning of man, right? Which is the best book of Enoch to get. I would try to get the Ethiopian copy of the book of Enoch. Look up. I think that's the best one. I've read through the book of Enoch so many times, but I think the Ethiopian copy of the book of Enoch, and I see that's the one I have printed. I need to see if I can find the like an electronic version. If I can find it, I'll share it with y'all. But look for the Ethiopian copy of the book of Enoch. That's the one I would recommend, Kurt. So, all right. So with that being said, y'all, let's go ahead over here real quick and get into chapter 19 of My Big Toe, right? My Big Toe is also helping us, right? I think it's helping us on the side where we're developing our perception, the ability to just even look at things, right? Because coming out of the church, they teach you, no, it's of the devil. No, we're not even going to look at it. We're not even going to consider it, right? At least this is helping us to expand our big toe and at least just calm down enough just to consider other pieces of information. We're not saying these other pieces of information are correct, but they're here. They seem relevant. We should at least consider it. At least go through it and personally read through it ourselves and then decide based on actual data and facts that we pull from it, is this relevant or not, right? Okay. So chapter 19 of My Big Toe is called Beware of the Belief Trap. Most of us are awash with beliefs of all sorts. We are steeped in the common sense and prevailing wisdom of our culture, traditions, communities, profession, family, and friends. Because belief is very personal for each of us, I will approach this discussion of belief and knowledge from many different directions. Hopefully, at least one of these approaches will connect with your unique experience, intellect, and inner self. When encountering something complex and unfamiliar, repetition is usually required before we feel comfortable with it. Likewise, reiteration is often needed to punch through deeply held and ingrained ways of thinking and being. Most of us have deeply held and ingrained ways of thinking and being, whether we are... Go back. Most of us have deeply held and ingrained ways of thinking and being, whether we are intellectually aware of them or not. What is deeply ingrained in us is nearly impossible for us to notice. It becomes part of the invisible inner core of our being. It is, in fact, that subtle belief system. It is a fact that subtle belief systems circumscribe our personal reality. It is also a fact that most of our beliefs lie beyond the easy reach of our intellects. Outside our awareness, they literally define and thus limit also what we allow ourselves to perceive and interpret as reality. I am sure that you can process big picture information intellectually without difficulty. However, because your core beliefs are profoundly ingrained, it is far more difficult for you to successfully integrate that information into deeper levels of understanding. Because you find certain material to be intellectually easy to understand or conceptually obvious and repetitious does not necessarily indicate that the significance of that material has actually sunk in to deeper levels of knowing. What passes for intellectual understanding is often shallow and incomplete because we have no means to accurately assess the extent of our ignorance. Oh, that was good. Let me say that again. Hold on. What passes for intellectual understanding is often shallow and incomplete because we have no means to accurately assess the extent of our ignorance. The logical result of an awareness of our ignorance relative to some very important issue is an uncomfortable anxiety, the anxiety of not knowing what you desperately need to know. We generally feel compelled to produce an apparently solid assessment of the problem, regardless of how much we know or do not know. In order to ensure that our assessment appears solid enough to significantly reduce the fear-based anxiety brought on by our ignorance, we make assumptions about the degree, quality, and completeness of our knowledge that invariably lead us to interpret shallow and incomplete as sufficient and conclusive. The resultant intellectual judgment, regardless of how ill-conceived, will always produce a conclusion that appears to its creator to be reasonably certain as well as obviously correct. Presto changeo. The discomforting anxiety disappears as pseudo-knowledge is manufactured by the ego to deny ignorance its due. Let me go back. Let me read that again. The resultant intellectual judgment, regardless of how ill-conceived, will always produce a conclusion that appears to its creator to be reasonably certain as well as obviously correct. Presto changeo. The discomforting anxiety disappears as pseudo-knowledge is manufactured by the ego to deny ignorance its due. Do you see how the fear of not knowing thus assuages itself by creating a believable, self-satisfying story that provides an alternative to acknowledging and accepting ignorance? That the story may be false is invisible to its author because it is based upon assumptions and beliefs designed to meet the author's pressing needs for reassurance and security. Ooh. Have you ever wondered how other people can come to the strangest conclusions about all manner of things, from religious fanatics to your sometimes exasperating manager or significant other? It works the same way. Be careful that your intellect does not trick you into believing comfortable and seductive conclusions that are primarily designed to reduce your anxiety, reassure your ego, and maintain your current self-satisfying worldview. Oh, boy. Whenever you feel reasonably certain that you are obviously correct, even though you have no real data to back it up, you should at least consider the possibility that you may be stuck in a belief trap of your own creation. Only open-minded skepticism will allow you to assess that possibility. Big truth must be understood deeply to be effectively applied. Wisdom resides more in the heart and soul than in the intellect. Your intellect can only take you so far in your exploration of big truth. It can direct your search, but cannot cause you to learn anything of deeper significance. On the other hand, your intellect can cause you to squander every opportunity to know big truth. And a lot of time we see that in the form of, oh, I know that already. I know that. You act like you don't need no more information because obviously you have all the pieces to the puzzle, right? Make your eyes open so you can see how ignorant you truly are. That's it. To focus our discussion of belief traps, let me give you a more precise and clear understanding of what I mean when I use the words belief and knowledge. Beliefs may be cultural, religious, scientific, or personal. Belief is generated and necessitated by ignorance. If you know for sure, belief is not required. You know what I just said? Oh, I know. I already know that, right? If you already know something, you don't need belief. In that case, you have real knowledge. Knowledge is derived from knowing what is true. If your apparent knowledge is false, you only believe that you know. In this situation, belief is masquerading as knowledge. Belief posing as knowledge is pseudo-knowledge, not real knowledge. Okay, and so now it goes on, and this is a longer one. It's an aside. He calls it a side with a side triangle. Ooh, hold on. We may not finish chapter 19 today. It didn't look that long at first when I looked at it. Probably because I was so anxious to get to this second tablet. Okay, so this is one of the side triangles, but also within this side triangle, there's a double triangle. So it's going to be an aside with an aside within the aside. Okay, and this is a couple pages long. Okay. Remember, the aside is breaking off from what he was explaining to explain something else to help you further understand what he was just trying to explain to you. Okay. Is there a difference between hearing and knowing? I definitely would say so. Yeah. I mean, in its simplest form, yes. Hearing and knowing is different. But you have to also, what you hear, you have to be able to verify what you're hearing, right? You got to verify the credibility of what you're hearing. And as you begin to do that, you actually transition into the knowing. because it gives you a little more understanding, right? After you hear. Hearing is just like the first step. But actually assimilating what you heard takes you on the road to actual knowing or understanding, right? Because you can't know something unless you really understand it, right? Therefore, in all you're getting, get understanding. If you're searching for wisdom, you're not going to have wisdom if you don't have understanding. So I would say hearing and knowing is definitely two different things. Knowing is more on the understanding, to where hearing is you just got information and you may not necessarily have assimilated it yet within your being. You can regurgitate it, but you may not really understand it. You know, we see a lot of people doing that. Put them in the right situation. We're going to know if you really know what you're talking about or not. So if you just regurgitate what you heard and you just sound like a scholar. That's it. Because many are now wondering how you can tell pseudo knowledge from knowledge, I think a short aside is in order. Throughout this trilogy, you will find discussions of how to discriminate between the wise and the foolish, between the real and the apparent, between falsehood and truth, between knowledge and pseudo-knowledge, and in parentheses, he has belief. We will approach this issue from several directions over the course of sections 2 through 6. This is a pudding thing and a science thing. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Implies that truth and knowledge can be evaluated by the objective results of their application. Kind of what you just asked, Joy, right? Just in other words. I read this again. You hear people saying, oh, the proof is in the pudding. No, the proof is in the eating of the pudding to determine whether if it's pudding or if it's something else or if it's poop. If I cursed, I will say the other word. The proof is in the eating of the pudding. Okay. This is a pudding thing and a science thing. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Implies that truth and knowledge can be evaluated by the objective results of their application. Science is the primary tool and process that enables you to avoid belief traps while assessing the objective results. Typically, it boils down to the fact that you need personal experience. Knowledge must be applied and measurable results. You must taste the pudding to become a discriminating connoisseur of reality. That might be the title for the day, Trina. Pudding or poop. That's gonna be the title, along with something from the Lost Book of Enki. We gotta mix it. We gotta do both. Pudding or poop definitely going to be in the title for today. Okay. Typically, it boils down to the fact that you need personal experience. Knowledge must be applied and measurable results. You must taste the pudding to become a discriminating connoisseur of reality. If you are not careful, you can be deluded about the results as well as the experience. That is why you must be a good scientist in your explorations. Being a good scientist requires only that you have the right approach and attitude. No degree or formal scientific training is required. You must wait until you have collected enough high-quality evidential data before converting potential possibilities into actualities or knowledge. Kind of like what we're doing with the Sumerian tablets. We're putting it all on the table. We're getting all the information before we start making assertions of what's truly true or what's not true. Because up until this time, we believe Jesus was a real character, right? And we did that for like 20, 30 years, right? Look how long it's taken us to get out of that. But we need to make sure now that everything, let's put everything, we've been tricked far too long. Let's just look at all the information and we're going to go through everything, right? Kind of like what we're doing now, right? Okay. You must wait until you have collected enough high-quality evidential data before converting potential possibilities into actualities or knowledge. These potential possibilities, with their associated probability of being true, must always be reassessed and recalculated as new data comes in, right? And that's what we're doing. These potential possibilities, with their associated probability of being true, must always be reassessed and recalculated as new data comes in. Apparent knowledge remains potential and tentative. Truth is absolute. Your list of potential possibilities will, for a very long time, if not always, be a much, much longer list than your list of absolute truths. If you are careful to remain simultaneously open-minded and skeptical, you will be unlikely to inadvertently make a major investment in false knowledge. On the other hand, you might pursue a hypothesis or potential possibility to a dead end, or to the conclusion that your hypothesis is wrong. This is how good science works. There is no way to guarantee that your hypothesis will be proved correct. Proving a hypothesis wrong also produces useful information. Always remain skeptical and open-minded so that you won't wander too far down too many blind alleys. It is those who abandon the open-minded skepticism of the scientists in pursuit of easy and quick answers who end up leaping into belief traps, basing their decisions and interpretations of events on belief and pseudo-knowledge. They lose their way, inevitably investing their time and energy moving in non-optimal and unproductive directions. The truth is not delicate. It will stand up to vigorous testing. And that's what we're going for, right? The truth is not delicate. It will stand up to vigorous testing. I might use some of that in the title for today. I don't know. Let's see. That was good. However, you must be careful that your tests are valid. This is not as easy at first as it appears. The inherent difficulty scientists have in validating concepts and results reflects a standard problem of science. By definition, it is always difficult for you to design tests to evaluate something that you do not understand. Exploring non-physical matter reality is in many ways the same as exploring physical matter reality. Research in non-physical matter reality requires, more often than not, a long, slow, sometimes frustrating and tedious process to find tentative new knowledge. There, as with serious research anywhere, dogged perseverance, careful analysis, and steady effort yields better results and more surely. Let me read that again. There, as with serious research anywhere, dogged perseverance, careful analysis, and steady effort yields better results and more surely than any other method. If you repeat your questions about how to separate knowledge from pseudo-knowledge, while at the same time pretending that you are talking about the knowledge of physical matter reality instead of the knowledge of non-physical matter reality, most of the same obvious answers will apply. Science is science in both physical matter reality and non-physical matter reality. Scientific methodology has the same difficulties and attributes in both places. The primary difference is that in non-physical matter reality, as viewed from physical matter reality, science is a personal or subjective activity with objective results. This contrasts with physical matter reality, as viewed from physical matter reality, where science is a directly shareable objective activity that likewise produces objective results. For the record, non-physical matter reality science, as viewed from non-physical matter reality, is also a directly shareable objective activity that produces objective results. This discussion will be continued in much greater detail and from several different perspectives at other places within the My Big Toe trilogy. In this aside, I simply want to point out that there is no magic formula or shortcut for finding and assessing truth. Ain't that the truth, right? Some people just be like, just give it to me. Well, I could give it to you, but you, depending on where you at, you probably couldn't take it. So we need to go through some phases and some stages to help you understand some things that will lead you so you can plainly see the truth, right? And this aside, I simply want to point out that there is no magic formula or shortcut for finding and assessing truth. Believing what I say or what anyone else says about non-physical matter reality or the nature of reality is tantamount to jumping to conclusions without doing the science or investigative work one's self. Right? That's what we just said. Belief is not a shortcut that will actually take you to a significant destination. Believing what others say is a risky business. You must discover truth and knowledge for yourself, or it will not be your truth or your knowledge. Right? That's good. All day long. Yo, hold on. Listen to this. Let me go back. You got to make it your own. Look. Belief is not a shortcut that will actually take you to a significant destination. Believing what others say is a risky business. You must discover truth and knowledge for yourself, or it will not be your truth or your knowledge. Your truth and knowledge lives deeply and vibrantly within your being, while someone else's truth and knowledge can penetrate no deeper than your intellect. Yo, let me say that again. Your truth and knowledge lives deeply and vibrantly within your being, while someone else's truth and knowledge can penetrate no deeper than your intellect. Listening to others may greatly improve the efficiency of your journey or send you off to wander aimlessly. In either case, you must make the trip and experience, assess, and validate the reality that you find, right? Which is why we say, okay, we need to start experiencing some stuff. Y'all need to get active in what we're learning. Otherwise, y'all just be here listening to me talk and never growing any further than you currently are, because you don't have your own experience to add to this knowledge that we're learning. You must have your own experience. You must spend your own time in prayer, in meditation, in research, and looking through some of these scriptures, verifying things yourself. Otherwise, you're just here for entertainment purposes only. Listening to others may greatly improve the efficiency of your journey or send you off to wander aimlessly. In either case, you must make the trip and experience, assess, and validate the reality you find. I do not wish to imply that you must accomplish everything by yourself, including others on your journey to a greater understanding. Including others on your journey to a greater understanding is generally a good idea. Interacting with others, if wisely chosen, can help you develop a broader perspective and provide much needed encouragement as well as guidance and direction. But others cannot learn and grow for you. You must do that for yourself. Wisdom, maturity, and the capacity to love are all personal attributes that dwell within the core of your being. Some may be wondering how you go about collecting, evaluating, validating, and applying data in thought space, or how you can experience the reality of non-physical matter reality. Remember, non-physical matter reality is dealing with the spiritual realm, right? We clearly know there's a spiritual realm because we interact with the spiritual realm. We ask questions to the spiritual realm. We get answers from the spiritual realm. We get warnings from the spiritual realm. We get dreams from the spiritual realm, right? That's non-matter physical reality, while physical matter reality is where we're operating at now, and I'm talking to you, right? Some may be wondering how you go about collecting, evaluating, validating, and applying data in thought space, or how you can experience the reality of non-physical matter reality. These are good questions. I'm talking about the subjective experiential data you gather while you carefully explore the realm of interactive consciousness within inner space. I am also talking about clear, objective, evidential results. At the boundary where non-physical matter reality activities influence and modify physical matter reality activities and vice versa, the evidential data can be collected easily, right? So a small, simple example of that, you get a warning in a dream, you get a warning in non-matter physical reality. You bring that warning from the non-physical matter reality, and it carries over into the physical matter reality. When you remember your dream, the warning you had, oh, I shouldn't go there today, right? So you apply what you learned in non-physical to the physical, and then sometime soon, probably later on that day, you're going to see why you got that warning not to go to that place that day, right? It's inside. I call it inside information. And it's not just happening for Christians or certain religious factions. It happens for every single human being on this planet. At this boundary, being aware in non-physical matter reality is somewhat like participating in a narrowly focused mental activity, somewhat like a totally absorbing interactive daydream that has a strong, casual, evidential connection with physical matter reality and a dynamic existence that is independent of you and your consciousness or unconscious mental processes. Your mind must be calm, clear, and steady without unruly chatter or noise, or you cannot differentiate between what your mind creates and what exists independently of your mind. That is why finding and learning to exist and operate within the calm, unperturbed center of your consciousness is always the first step, or getting somewhere and setting yourself down and getting quiet, right? Quiet yourself. Go meditate. Drown out the noise so you can hear clearly. That's essentially what it just said. To a clear, low noise, operative consciousness, collecting data in non-physical matter reality will be like moving through an unusually clear daydream. And exploring consciousness should initially busy itself by doing experiments and looking for evidence of non-physical matter reality activity, creating effects in physical matter reality, and vice versa. One day, after enough hard evidence is gathered through personal experience, it will become clear that non-physical matter reality is both independent of you and casually connected to physical matter reality. Realizing that fact will be your first, biggest, and most amazing discovery. Let me read that again, just in case you dozed off. Listen. To a clear, low noise, operative consciousness, or a place where you're nice and quiet. Listen. To a clear, low noise. Remember, think about Elijah when he was listening for the voice of Yah. He didn't find his voice in a whirlwind and in the storm, but that still, small, quiet voice was heard when everything was quiet and he focused himself. All that other crap he put out of his mind and he just listened. Because that's the only place you find that voice, which is why meditation is so important. You only get that information when you cut off all the other distractions and you get quiet, because it doesn't come loud. It's ever so slightly whispered to you. And I know that from personal experience. Listen. To a clear, low noise, operative consciousness, collecting data in the non-physical matter reality will be like moving through an unusually clear daydream. And exploring consciousness should initially busy itself by doing experiments and looking for evidence of non-physical matter reality activity, creating effects in physical matter reality, and vice versa. And here it is. One day, after enough hard evidence is gathered through personal experience, it will become clear that non-physical matter reality is both independent of you and casually connected to the physical matter reality. Realizing that fact will be your first, biggest, and most amazing discovery. Like I said before, what you hear in the non or the spiritual realm actually connects to the physical realm. And once you realize that, that's going to be the biggest, like I said, the biggest discovery, the most first amazing discovery. Oh snap, I learned about that in a dream or in a vision and it actually happens here. hold on, how can we do this on purpose? How can we go there and get answers and bring them here? First amazing discovery. And you going, okay, let's make this work like clockwork every single time. And there's a way, right? I still clearly recall my feelings of incredulous amazement when Dennis and I first began sharing identical simultaneous experiences while exploring the non-physical matter reality. See chapter 10 of this book. After consistently verifying the accuracy of remote viewing experiments. Remember, remote viewing is another way for saying astral projecting or out-of-body experiences, right? After consistently verifying the accuracy of remote viewing experiments and experiencing firsthand the efficacy of dramatically affecting the health of a physical body with a focused mind, my reality was forced to broaden. As the paranormal becomes normal, as the paranormal becomes normal, one has no rational or logical option other than to seek a bigger picture that contains the wholes of one's carefully evaluated experience. Yes.
After you don't want your bubble, next you can buy me some milkshake, please.
So you've been trying to get a milkshake for the last 2 days. Hold on.
I want sprinkles on my milkshake.
Let me think about this, girl.
I want white first.
Yo, Alicia, look. Oh, shoot. I just swiped it off. Hold on. Let me bring y'all back. Okay. All right. My sister just said that's like when we were young, holding hands to be in each other's dreams and trying to bring something out. I told y'all she must not have been here today. I was telling y'all about it. But we used to try this stuff when we were smaller. Children are way more spiritual than adults any day, hands down. I'm going with what the kids saying, right? Because they so much closer to the spiritual realm than we are as we get older because we become tainted and dumbed down. Yo, the children know something. They know something. It is just like that. Okay, let me go back. Let me read this again. I still clearly recall my feelings of incredulous amazement when Dennis and I first began sharing identical simultaneous experiences while exploring non-physical matter reality. See chapter 10 of this book. After consistently verifying the accuracy of remote viewing experiments and experiencing firsthand the efficacy of dramatically affecting the health of a physical body with a focused mind, my reality was forced to broaden. As the paranormal becomes normal, one has no rational or logical option other than to seek a bigger picture that contains the whole of one's carefully evaluated evidential experience. So it's like once your horizons have been expanded or broadened, it's like there's no looking back. What do you mean? There is more. I cannot go back there to that dark room. There is more here. Like, and you're in search of the more because you've experienced it. Jan Shalom, right? So that's what happens when you begin having some of these supernatural and spiritual experiences. Some people that may have never had an encounter with the spiritual realm, they just don't get it, right? It's like, oh, that's a bunch of folly. I'm like, yo, no, it's not, right? There's even, I mentioned this pastor before, right? And he's come out of the church, but he's into the Hebrew roots or whatever. He's not that this really matters, but he's a Caucasian pastor. But he's also teaching about like the Hebrew roots, faith and stuff, and how all the shenanigans. Anyway, he's bringing it out, right? But I was with him until he got to the part where he was talking about the spiritual realm. Right now, granted, if you look at, excuse me, if you look at the Bible in the, this is the point he was bringing out. He was talking about in the Old Testament, it never talked about demons or anything like that. Excuse me. I was like, well, yeah, he got a point, So he said he didn't believe that they exist. I'm like, hold on. I was like, wait a minute, bro. Something exists other than us. Because I have had encounters. I've seen things, and it wasn't just my fear. I've had encounters with things that manifested in my body. So I was with this pastor. You got good information up to this point, but clearly your experience has not been brought, and you don't have experience in this to where I'm telling you, I ain't gonna say you, well, I'm telling you there's more than what you're telling people. Because there are those of us who had these spiritual experiences with angels, whether they be good or bad. You want to call them demons, angels, whatever, but it is another realm. I mean, you talk to a God that you can't see, right? And he's clearly in another realm. Why would you think that you believe in angels, but you don't believe in demons? It's that faulty thinking, and especially to those who actually have experienced these things. Like, I was with you up until this point, and this was good meat. That was true. But when you get right here, you need to live just a little bit longer. How about you change your address, go live down in Louisiana for a little bit, and then you come back and tell me that this realm don't exist, right? So it's like that. Based on your experience and your personal experience will determine what your beliefs are. Kimball Mack. I had several spiritual experiences as a child. Kept most to myself because the adults would give me a funny look. Well, it's always the adults that got they oh boy, I tell you, we should all be childlike. Some of the adults give you them looks because they know it's real, but they figure if we don't talk about it, we don't have to deal with it. And wrong answer, right? But you also have the adults that may not have any kind of spiritual experiences, and it's like, don't you go tell nobody that. Don't you go tell nobody that. They're going to think you crazy. And some parents end up putting their children in a mental institution because they be trying to tell them some of this stuff, but they don't necessarily believe it. Or sometimes they do. And it's like they just don't want to bring attention to it because they figure, don't give attention to it, it'll go away. Just ignore it and it'll go away. Like, bro, you got all kind of demonic activity going on in your house. You like that house on Elm Street, my G, and you telling us ain't no problem. Ain't what? Zoe Betwabu. Willie, I love you. And you be changing your stuff. The artist formerly known as Crackhead Willie. Shalom. Audrey, shalom. Okay, y'all. Hold on, where we at? Oh, we had an hour 50. Oh my gosh, we're at an hour 51 minutes. We should pause. Hold on. This aside still goes on. Hold on, let me see. Maybe I should finish these two asides and we'll pause. Ooh, I don't know. Okay, well let me tell y'all. We're on page 130. This chapter ends on page 142, right? And 142 is a half a page. Kimber Mack, your aunt's house was scary. Yo, I had an aunt with an upstairs, one of her old houses. And upstairs, there was an attic, right? But upstairs beside, it was like this attic. And there was like this room. I think it was the water heater in there, but it had a door. And it was like, she had them doors with them, them old ancient keys. It had those kind of keyholes, right? But also their prayer room was upstairs. But I used to hate going upstairs. And although the kids' bedroom was upstairs, and then that next one was the prayer room, and then the door to the attic, it's like Jesus and Satan living on the same floor. I don't want to go up there.
You want to go here?
What? Yeah, that's gonna be fun. We're gonna go to a water park when it get warmer. But let me tell you, my aunt upstairs used to scare the crap out of me. I used to love going over there, but I used to hate having to go up them stairs. And also, not only that, but she always had the craziest stories about the supernatural demonic activity that was going on in her house. I don't know if she here, but I love listening to her stories. But it was crazy. Because not only would they feel the activity going on in the house, but they would see the activity going on in the house. Like, I can remember some of these stories verbatim. I'm just like, yo, why are y'all even still living here? Is the Lord making y'all stay here? This is too much going on. I would go there. Even the stairs winding up to their door were scary. It was crazy. Every time I think about this house, I still get the shakes now. Like, ooh, I'm glad they moved out of there. But she was fine. Like, she was like, the Lord on my side. I ain't worried about nothing. And the stories were crazy. She didn't have to worry about nothing. Like, she moved in such, I mean, this time we was like still Christians and calling ourselves Christians and stuff. But the stories, I mean, they still real. Even though we may be calling y'all by the wrong name or whatever, the activity in the spiritual realm is real, right? So I think that's a lot of what calmed me down over the years, over these last few years of getting on people that still using the name JC. I was like, yo, the activity is real. The names may be wrong. We may be identifying them by wrong names simply because of the ignorance we were brought up in. But we cannot deny the truth of the spirit realm. Like how I grew up, spiritual stuff. It's a bunch of seers in my family. My grandma even told us, don't hold this against me, y'all. My grandma even told me about a part of the family who was full, and they were nothing but, she said, they stone cold witches and warlocks over there. I'm like, Grandma. I was like, so what that make us? But we're children of God. I'm like, really? But don't we do some of the same stuff they do? How are they any better or any worse than us? Or how are we any better than them? Yo, oh my gosh. But anyway, so because of the type of family I grew up in, I'm familiar with the spiritual, the unseen realm more than what some people may be. And I may not have the most experience, but I'm familiar with a lot of this stuff, which probably helps me in my research of breaking out of the dogma of the church, be going to look into things. I'm like, wait a minute. Let me just go look into this. Father, keep me from being possessed by the devil, but I need to find out if this is true or not, right? That's probably helped me along the way, not to be, I mean, I'm scared, but some of the fear and scariness was taken away because it's like, I got to know the truth. I got to know the truth. There's too many supernatural, crazy things going on for us just to be sitting here waiting on sweet Jesus come get us, because he ain't helped none of us yet. We need to do something. We need to do something, right? Look. Jen, oh, you was talking to Willie. No, back in those days, I rebuked it in JC name. Laugh out loud. That was 2010. Yeah, look, that's all we was talking. That's all we knew. Rebuke it in JC name. Now, sometimes it worked, but sometimes it absolutely did not work, right? And it's just like, okay, now, Jesus, why don't you be showing up sometime? Because I really needed your help. I really needed your help just then, right? Struggling with this demon, I don't know what it was. Why didn't you help a sister out? Right? I couldn't even say your name. Like, they have more power than you to where they were able to, and I'm trying to yell in Jesus' name. It's like, I'm like, they have more power. Like, they must have known your name was coming out. But were their hands or their power stronger to keep we talking about the power of your name, but clearly the power of your name couldn't bust their hands off my lips. And I couldn't say your name. You just sat there. Apparently, you just sat there and watched because I was getting my tail tore off. I'm trying to scream and yell, Jesus. And then, like, y'all done had some crazy stuff happen to me. And so it's like, we got to get to the bottom of all of this. Everything need to go on the table. I don't care. Put your grandma and granddad on the table, too. They dead. Everybody going on the table. Everybody going on the table. We need to look at all of this stuff. Look. Yo, look. Oh, Mom, thank you for saying that. Look, it works until you come into the truth and refuse to adjust, right? And we learned that very early on as we were coming into the truth. When I told, like, before, and I don't think some people understand this. It's like, okay, why didn't you use the name of Jesus up until this time? And it always worked. Well, most of the time it worked, I got good results sometime, but why should I stop using it now? Or what you're going to find out, you're going to start running into situations where you're going to need to call on somebody. You might need to call on somebody in non-physical matter reality, right? Somebody from the unseen world you're going to call on. And then when you realize after you learn a little bit of truth and you calling on JC just sitting there like, my hands tied, homie. I can't do nothing for you now, right? And it's like it don't work. It's like, wait a minute. But what people tend to do is when it stopped working, they tend to automatically think, oh, I must be wrong. I done gotten off into a cult or something. No, just pay a little bit closer attention to what you're doing, right? The foolishness has to fall away, right? Just like with children, they can get away with certain things until they get a little bit older. Now you know better. That ain't gonna work for you. Like them puppy eyes and that little face used to work. Little daughter could do that with mom and dad. It used to work. Oh, that ain't working. That ain't getting you out of. You know better, right? So either it's gonna be discipline, or you're gonna need to handle this and do it. Like you're gonna have to handle this yourself and fix the problem. It's kind of like that. So once you know the truth, it's like we got to put childish things away, right? And calling on Jason is kind of like pre-K, kindergarten. Child, we got to put those things away because we now know there is no Santa Claus, right? We got to put the childish things away and begin to take responsibility. It's time for us to start being responsible, right? We can no longer do those things that don't work, which is why things don't work, because we're still trying to use the things that we've outgrown and not realize we've outgrown, and we need to take the steps and walk in responsibility, right? It works until you come into the truth and refuse to adjust. If you refuse to adjust, nothing is going to work. It's going to seem like all hell is breaking loose and you steady trying to do the kindergarten way of things when, my G, you in 5th grade. What are you doing? What are you doing? Rightfully so. Kick up all kinds of hell around them. They sitting there, girl, have you lost your mind? You sitting here trying to fix this with kindergarten ways and you in a 5th grade. Turn up the hell even harder on her till she realize it, right? Yo. So, but yeah, y'all. Hold on, what was I at? Maybe we should just stop right here. Hold on, because I lost my spot. Hold on. I think I was right there.
Mom.
Oh, no, I wasn't. I was all the way over here.
Mom.
Yeah, babe.
You can buy my milkshake.
Hold on, Pooh. Hold on. Oh, I was right here. The paranormal and the normal. Here's what I do. I don't think nobody answered the question. Anyway, hold on. I'm going to just read to the end of this side. Like, it's going to take me like 2 minutes. I'm going to just finish reading right here. And then I think we're just going to pause right here, y'all. We might be able to use some of this tomorrow anyway. I'm going to pause right here. I ain't going to finish it. Let me finish this little paragraph right here. Then we're going to pause. Okay. But let me go back up a little bit before I got sidetracked with my stories and stuff. Okay. Hold on, Pooh. Hold on. One day, after enough hard evidence is gathered through personal experience, it will become clear that non-physical matter reality is both independent of you and causally connected to physical matter reality. Realizing that fact will be your first, biggest, and most amazing discovery. I still clearly recall my feelings of incredulous amazement when Dennis and I first began sharing identical, simultaneous experiences while exploring non-physical matter reality. See chapter 10 of this book. After consistently verifying the accuracy of remote viewing experiments and experiencing firsthand the efficacy of dramatically affecting the health of a physical body with a focused mind, my reality was forced to broaden. As the paranormal becomes normal, one has no rational or logical option other than to seek a bigger picture that contains the whole of one's carefully evaluated evidential experience. You can always assume that other people are lying or confused, but when your own experience consistently and on demand carries you to a logically and scientifically inescapable conclusion, the truth of that experience will demand a larger and deeper understanding of the reality within which you exist. Simply labeling the paranormal as something experienced by the delusional, the diabolical, the weird, and the wacky will no longer provide an easy way out of dealing with the existence of a reality that flies in the face of your deepest beliefs and assumptions. Like, we can't deal like that no more. Like, we understand there's more to this. We can't just call them weird and wacky anymore because now we're experiencing this. Right? We got to look at it. Simply labeling the paranormal as something experienced by the delusional, the diabolical, the weird, and the wacky will no longer provide an easy way out of dealing with the existence of a reality that flies in the face of your deepest beliefs and assumptions. When the experience is yours and the processes used to gain and evaluate the experience have been careful and scientific, you must deal with the objective facts of what you have discovered. Denying them is to cling to ignorance and limitation out of habit, insecurity, and fear. To deny such experience is to give up difficult knowledge for the comfort of a mindless dogma. Whew. Allowing ignorance and fear to define the possibilities eliminates opportunities for growth and squanders potential. That this is true is obvious when applied to others whose ignorance and disadvantage we understand and nearly impossible to see in ourselves. After the collection of evidential data, non-physical matter reality, physical matter reality, PSI effects becomes routine, one generally moves on to determine the culture, laws, and physics of non-physical matter reality by careful experimentation and observation of cause and effect. Imagine that you are an alien scientist from another dimension, teleported to Earth to learn what the Earth is and its life forms are like. Exploring non-physical matter reality is like that, but without the limitation of a needy physical body. And that's where we're going to pause. And it goes into another, like a double triangle short aside within this single triangle aside to explain something it just said in the single triangle aside. I hope that makes sense. Right. So, but we'll pick that back up tomorrow since we already at 2 hours. Right. I'm trying to stay within our original hour time limit during the week, but on the weekend, no holds barred. But I do have to get some stuff done today as well. Me and my husband about to go somewhere. So, but we are going to pause right here. So we'll pick this back up on page 132 tomorrow. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. Kimberly might say Christianity is first grade. I just saw your comment, Mom. Laugh out loud, not turn up the hell on her. Absolutely turn up the hell. Jen said she was just fine. Hold on, let me go back up. Let me see what Willie said. Hold on. Oh, let me go all the way back up. Okay. Kimber Max said, my aunt was scary. My aunt's house was scary. Well, Mama laughed. Jen said, my dad's house has activity. My brother and his wife and I experienced it. Something flicked my hair in the middle of the night. Yo, look, this is crazy. And I'm getting totally off of this. I went through the drive-thru of Panera Bread. I guess it's been about 4 days now, right? I'm sitting in the truck. It's cold outside. So I got the heat on. But it was a little too hot in there because I'd be blazing it, so I turned it off. So nothing was blowing at this moment. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, I mean, this could be weird, I don't know, but I'd be thinking about this. It just reminded me when Jen said something flicked her hair in the middle of the night. I'm sitting in the truck. Was it my husband's truck? I was in my truck, sitting in there. Then all of a sudden, it was like somebody shot some water at me. You know, like them, you got like super soaker guns, but like the smaller ones, you can get out the bubble gum machine. It was like that. It was like somebody squirted and hit me right on the side of my face. I'm like, what the? Like, I smacked myself when it hit me because I'm like, what was that? And there was water. I'm like, wait, where did this come from? So I'm looking at the vents. I'm looking for water shooting out the vents. I'm looking up, ain't no hole in the ceiling, the windows. Well, the windows was up on this side. I had my window cracked over here just a little bit, but I got the rain guards right there. The back windows was up. I'm like, what the crap? I'm looking in the back seat. I'm looking for things that could possibly maybe burst or something. Water, nothing in the truck. No drinks, no nothing. I had already turned the heat off. The windows on this side was up. Mine is just cracked a little bit. A squirt of water hit me on the side of the face, completely caught me off guard. Still right now, 4 days later, I don't know what it was. And so after I looked around and verified everything, of course, I started talking to non-physical matter reality. I'm like, listen here, y'all. I don't know if y'all playing with me. Look, it's about time for me to drive up. I'm having this conversation with non-physical matter reality in my truck. And the car moving up. It's time for me to go to make my order. I was like, look, I don't know if y'all playing with me, but y'all better stop. It won't funny. Because y'all know I'm a little scary. I don't know if it was a demon or an angel. So don't be playing with me. I'm doing like that in the truck. I'm like, Pam, pull yourself together. You didn't really get hit with water. I'm like, freaking yes, I did just get freaking hit with water. And I'm like, what was that? Yes, babe.
Someone has my cover once he can get his own.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Y'all, so little crazy stuff like that be happening. I wish I could bring my sister on live to tell y'all about some of the stuff that be happening in her house. I'm like, girl, look, I don't know what we been happening to. I was like, but we seem to be getting a little bit more angelic. We just gonna label it angelic activity happening. Even my brother went over to my sister's house. It's so funny. You gotta hear him tell a story. He was like, girl, look, I don't know what your angels doing up here or who you got, your goons or whatever going on in this house, but they better leave me alone. It's crazy. I don't know, y'all. It's weird stuff happening. Okay, let me go back. It reminded me that when I saw Jen said something flicked my hair in the middle of the night. Kimball and Joy laughed. Oh, the artist formerly known as Crackhead Willie. Said at home with Jen, did you run? Oh my goodness. And he put the eyes and running. And she said, no, back in those days, I just rebuked it in JC name, laugh out loud. That was in 2010. Okay, so I remember that comment from earlier. Joy said, me too. Okay, Kimball said, yes, my grandmother was the only one I could talk to. She would see and know a lot. Joy said they laugh at the name sometimes. Then that's what my mom said. It works until you come into the truth and refuse to adjust. Okay, hold on. This just jumped. Kimball said, you're right, Vanetta, true. The artist formerly known as Crackhead Willie said, oh, okay, at home with Jen. Hopefully they gone. Let's scroll down. Okay. Christianity's first grade. Laugh out loud. Not turn up the hell on her. Jen said, I hope so, Willie. Back then, the pastor gave me holy oil and I went around trying to drive the spirit out. Laugh out loud. That reminded me when crazy stuff when we was younger. All we know to do now, at this point, that's what our parents taught us. Well, my mom, you get the anointing oil. If some strange, angelic, or demonic activity was going on in the house, or we would see something, or we would think we see something, the first thing we do, go get the anointing oil, start anointing everything, anoint each other first, put a cross on your forehead, start anointing the doors and the windows. I'd be anointing my wall, my bed. And so somebody would be anointing. Somebody would be walking through the house with a Bible. Y'all, I promise y'all, we look like an Exorcist movie. Let me tell you, Christians talk about other people and the satanic worshipers and stuff doing casting spells and all this stuff, but Christians still be doing it. They just Christianize everything, right? We think it like seriously. Hollywood ain't got nothing on Christian households. Boy, I tell you. Let them think some demonic activity going on. We're going to start screaming out the name of Jesus. Get the Bible, open up to the 91st Psalm, get the oil. You dousing everybody. Oh, let me get myself first. I'm going to need more than the cross. What you heard? What happened? Oh, my gosh. We're going to all go in the room. Satan, get out of here. Opening up windows. Opening up the doors to let the spirits go out. Opening up the windows. And when we was too scared to go open up the window and the door, we would say, however you got in here, you better get out. You better get out here through whatever crack and crevice you can find in a wall. And if you can't find a crack and crevice, you a spirit. Go through the wall. Boy, I tell you, Hollywood ain't got nothing on Christian households. Boy, I tell you, it is crazy. It is crazy, right? Yo, crazy. Devon called me in the living room. The chair was rocking and no one was there. First thing in the morning. Crazy stuff like that. Yo, let me tell you what happened to me. It's been, where we at? We in January. This happened. I want to say this happened in October because I called my sister Leisha. I figured I was going to do, this was one night I was starting to do my all-nighter prayers again. This was not too long ago, right? A couple months ago. Maybe it could have been November, right? So, okay, if I didn't leave enough clothes to fold throughout the night to keep myself woke while I'm praying in tongues, I'm a clean, wipe down some walls, or better yet, I'm gonna just get on the treadmill and just walk, right? So this particular night, I had washed up and folded all the clothes, and I decided I'm gonna get on the treadmill, right? So I goes get on the treadmill. Then I'm walking up there probably for about 15 minutes, just praying in tongues and listening to worship music. I switch between the Bible and the Bible and the worship music, right? Praying in tongues. So I gets off the treadmill. Yeah, Pooh.
You can order my milkshake already.
Tootie, hold on. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna get you something. We can probably make one here. Look, hold on.
No,
so I get off the treadmill.
Go out and just go get my milkshake.
I get off the treadmill. And I go walking into the kitchen to get a bottle of water. Mind you, I got to pass my dining room to come from the living room into the hallway, into the kitchen. I come back with my bottle of water. When I'm going back through the hallway, passing the dining room. Now, at this time, Tootie, look, you about to go upstairs. Hold on, get down. Go upstairs. Don't start the whining. I'm almost done. Babe! Never mind. She walked out. Don't play with me, little girl. Look. So I'm walking out the kitchen with my bottle of water to go back to the treadmill. I'm praying in tongues. Got the worship music playing in my ear. So you know how sometimes you just get into it and you close your eyes for a second, right? And that's what I did. Stop right there. I'm praying in tongues to the song of the music. And I open up my eyes and I go to walk in the hall. Y'all, in the hallway, one of my dining room chairs was sitting right in the middle of the walkway, right across from the bathroom door, right? It was pulled out from the table, sitting right in the middle of the hallway. Everybody in the house was asleep. I'm like, and I stopped. Look, you know how, look, I'm praying in tongues, right? Listening to worship music. You know how you see on the movies, it's like, the F? I had the bottom music, my tongues and everything stop. I'm like, that was my thoughts. I'm like, the F? This chair come from? Then, before I freaked out, I said, hey, who down these stairs? Nobody answered. I took the other headphone out my ear and I did like this. And I walked past the chair to look in the living room just to see if one of my kids had come downstairs and they was hiding. Nobody was in there. And I said it again. I'm like, the F? And I go back. I was like, nobody could have gotten past me that fast to come down the stairs and get back up the stairs. And so before I freak out again, I'm like, let me go just make sure somebody is woke upstairs. And so I'm like, and I'm moving fast and I kind of flew up the stairs. I'm like, hey, who woke up here? I look in my bedroom first, push the door open. James is knocked out snoring. Bella lay across the bed asleep. I'm like, it's clearly one of the smaller kids who have waken up. I go in their room. Joshua, Josiah, and Isaiah is knocked out. And I stood there for a second just to see if they was going to open their eyes and look. No, you know how you know your kids are sleep. They were sleep. I'm like, it must have been Jeremiah. I'm like, Jeremiah. No answer. His door was locked. So I went through the bathroom and opened up his door on that side from the bathroom. Jeremiah was knocked out. Knocked out, right? And I'm like, and I thought again, the F. So I run into the bedroom. I close the door. No, look. I closed the door. I went into the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God. What spirit is in my house? Look, it scared the crap out of, mind you, I've been down here praying in tongues, worshiping and everything. It scared the crap out of me. Even to the day. So I run up in there. I close our bedroom door. James is still knocked out snoring. I lock the bedroom door. I go into the bathroom. I'm snatching off the wet clothes and so let me hop in the shower real quick. Right? And so I'm about to get in this bed. I could not go to sleep that night. I'm like, listen, whoever in here in my house better get out. Yo, I was not expecting that. So weird stuff be happening. I'm like, look. So I be sitting here thinking sometime, I'm like, I'm gonna go out here leading the people and I'm scared about a chair, right? Yo, so I'm telling y'all, it's some crazy stuff that be happening. Look, Jen said, yes, my brother's a pastor, had him bless our new home in 2016. I'm fresh out the church 3 years now. Yo, Jen, it was really creepy, right? I'm just like, yo, I don't know why this crazy stuff be going on, or if just the non-physical matter reality be wanting to expand your horizons a little bit and try to work all the scariness out of you. Right? I'm just like, look, don't be playing with me, y'all. Y'all got to prepare me for stuff. If y'all gonna show me something, y'all need to show me in a dream first. And then don't just appear out of nowhere, because I don't know if I'm ready to handle that just yet. If you're gonna appear just out of nowhere, I'm gonna need to already be outside my house in a group of people. So you can just appear and it's not gonna seem to me that you didn't just materialize out of non-physical matter reality. Like, I can handle that. You gotta build me up. Yeah, yo, Kimball, when you go deep into tongues, things do begin to happen. So that's why I was like, yo, sometimes, like before when I first started, when things like that began to happen, I'm like, yep, nope, the tongues is probably of the devil, because all this crazy stuff started happening. Right, deal with me gently. Sure. But I realize it's things that need to come, like all that scariness need to be worked out. Yo, and it's just that the whole chair, I still think about that. That just threw me off. So, Dana, I can imagine what Devon was feeling when he called you in there. She said, she on Facebook, y'all, she said, Devon called me in the living room. The chair was rocking and no one was in there. First thing in the morning, right? Look, Dana, you might want to ask Devon if he think it was his mama. Because you remember you told me in his dreams his mama be coming to him and they be having conversation. I don't know, it might be his mama. Yeah, I'm just saying, y'all, I be being silly sometimes. Y'all don't. Just forgive me. Charge it to my head and not my heart. All right, y'all. We got to go. We're 2 hours and 21 minutes. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. I did. Everything is lining up, putting all the information on the table. We're going to get down to the bottom of this. Physical matter reality and the happenings, goings on in the non-physical matter reality. All right, y'all. Christy, hey, girl, hey. Hold on. Dana said, yesterday we went to a restaurant and someone paid for our whole bill. Don't know who it was, but a guy was sitting in front of us when we left the supermarket. We didn't find what we were looking for. As we were walking to the register, the guy was standing there and turned his head real quick. I was like, what's going on? Is there more to the story, Dana? Oh, you probably told us the end of it at the beginning. Somebody paid for your whole bill. Okay. So that's what was happening. He was paying for your bill. You didn't realize until after you walked out, which is probably why he turned his head real quick. He was probably letting the cashier know that he was going to pay your whole bill. Okay. All right, y'all. I like the comment, Jen said. Yes, I told y'all be easy on me while going to prayer. Yeah, I know, right, Jen? I just thought about it. You was the one that said you took off running out your prayer closet when something had happened. Kurt, have you heard of the Anunnaki Bible just asking. Pause 1 second. Just don't go nowhere, y'all. Hold on. I'm back. Okay. So, Kurt said, have you heard of the Anunnaki Bible just asking? Yes, I have. I've heard about it. And I was wondering if I was even going to mention it to y'all, because I haven't gone through it just yet. But I have heard about it. I actually have a copy of it. The Anunnaki Bible. I have it. The translation from the Sumerian text, the full Bible. I was like yesterday, I ought to bring it down and tell them about this. I skimmed through it, going through some of the stuff. I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to read this. And I'm like, nah, might be too much, too soon. So I'm not even going to mention it. And here you go asking about it. Yes, I have a copy of it. I've been going through it. I just hadn't mentioned it to y'all yet because I'm still going through it. And I wasn't sure if I was going to mention it just yet. And if I was, I didn't know when. But yes, I have it. So I'm going to finish going through it. It's pretty interesting so far. It really is. It really is. So if y'all want to get it, I ain't telling y'all have to. I'm not sure if there's an electronic version of it, though. I don't think there was. At least when I looked where I looked. So I got the printed copy. And I think I paid, I think it was like $30. I think it was like $30. It's really interesting, Jen. It is really interesting. I mean, I can see it has, hold on. It has they call it the tablet catalog. So within here, it has the different books, right? Let me just read them to y'all, right? It's tablets A through Z, but before it has, okay, inside of the table of contents. So they list all the different editions, the first edition all the way up to this 10th anniversary, but I think this is the 6th edition. I think this is the 6th edition, right? So, but I'm gonna name these tablets, right? Look, what's the difference? I'm trying to get through it, Kirk, to see, right? So let's listen, right? Okay, in here. In the table of contents, it lists the dates when the different editions were released. Then it has the introduction to an Anunnaki Bible studies. Then the Anunnaki Bible of Joshua Free. Then it says toward a new revision, Egypto-Babylonian structure. Then first steps towards gatekeeping. And then the magic of the Anunnaki Bible. Then it goes into the Mardukite tablet catalog, which is the table of contents for all the other tablets that are added within here. And tablet A is the book of the Anunnaki and the Ijiji, right? So I know about the Ijiji. We just haven't gotten into it yet, which we will be because it's listed in what we're reading now, the Lost Book of Enki. So that's tablet A, the book of the Anunnaki and the Ijiji. Tablet B is book of Babylonian Stargates, right? Or the Babylonian Stargates. But it's also the Stargates. Not only were the pyramids ascension chambers, but there are, like, if you ever watch the Transformers, like the movie series with Shia LaBeouf, they have a lot of truth in there, right? And the pyramids, they are actually, for lack of better words, ports. They're ascension chambers and they're ports, right? Okay, so just kind of pay attention to all that, right? So that's tablet B, Book of Babylon, Stargates. Tablet C is the Book of Crossings. Tablet D is the Book of Dizyan, Dzyan. Tablet E is the Book of the Eclipses and Astrology. Tablet F, Book of the 50 Names of Marduk. Now I hop right through to this one right here because we hear about Marduk in the regular Bible, right? So, but when you get to Marduk, it's going to sound real Jesus-like, right? Marduk, and even the titles that the Christian church uses are some of these same titles of this god Marduk, right? I'm like, would you look at this crap here, right? So a lot of Christians really aren't aware that a lot of these titles that they label JC as are titles from this god Marduk, which the Old Testament speaks about Marduk briefly and a little bit more in the book of Jasher. Tablet G is the Book of Generations. Tablet H, Book of Headaches and Demonology. Tablet I is Book of Inform, and it's a cipher manuscript. Tablet J is the Book of Al-Jilwa, Book of Al-Jilwa, Jilwah, of the Yazidi, Yezidi. Tablet K is the Book of Kings and Dragon Blood. Tablet L, Book of the Law of Marduk. Tablet M.O is the Book of Exorcisms and Banishings, right? So some of these, because I've been researching some of the occult stuff, I find some of these tablets or these books that they take and they put it, they hide it in plain sight, and they put it in the occultic realms or the occultic groups and factions, right? Just like my grandma told me, she said there was an older Bible that she grew up with, and within the Bible, y'all ever heard about the book of black magic and the book of white magic? She said that was originally canonized inside the Holy Bible, right? At that time, it also had the Apocrypha and everything inside of it. Her family had a copy of this. Somewhere down the line, it got lost, right? So I've still been looking for it, but I do know that there's a book of black magic and a book of white magic, and I have confirmed that it actually used to be canonized within the Holy Bible, right? But it was taken out. So all of these things, as a matter of fact, what's funny is I forget which video it was. It was a video by Jay-Z. I want to say, don't quote me. I'm gonna have to go looking for it now. I think it's one of the videos from his album 444. But in the video, and it was like a really quick scene where they show, and it had they had the Bible, then they had the book of black magic and the book of white magic. I gotta find out which one it was. I'm like, oh. You know, and I forget why I was even watching the video. I forget what I was researching. But matter of fact, I think I was looking for that and his video came up. I'm like, why would the Jay-Z video come up? Right? But there was a short clip right in that video. I gotta go find it. But they show it in his video. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So tablet M.1 through 9 is Book of Maklu tablets. Maqlu. Tablet N is the Book of Nemesis, Enuma Elise, which is, we talked about that earlier, the Enuma Elise, right? And that's the Babylonian version of the creation story, plus a little bit more stuff, right? You got Tablet O, the Book of the Chaldean Oracles. Then Tablet P, the Book of Anunnaki Prayers. Tablet Q, the Book of Clippoth, Qlippoth. Tablet R, Book of the Return and Last Days. And you will find it quite interesting. You'll find it quite interesting some of the things that the Christian church believe and how it is really, really similar, almost to the T, about what you'll find, like what I've been reading. I got another book that I'm reading simultaneously. It's about the end of days with the Anunnaki. I'm like, this. If I didn't see the cover of this, I would think I'm reading from a Christian document. Like, they're talking about like the end of days. Remember, the Christian Bible is the latest version of scriptures that were created. It was taken from older manuscripts. And I'm like, clearly this was taken from there. I was like, the Christians have to know this. Somebody need to tell them, but they don't care to listen most of the time. So they're going to just keep waiting on Jesus. Tablet R. Book of the Return and Last Days. Tablet S. Book of Saja the Seer. S-A-J-A-H-A. The Book of Saja the Seer. Tablet T. Book of Nabu Tutu. Tablet U. Book of the Underworld. Tablet V. Book of Variations. Tablet W, Book of Marduk by Nabu. Remember, we learned about Nabu yesterday, which is where we get the term Nabi. Nabu was the first seer. Technically, that's why they use the term Nabi, right? Though the Nabi are the ones who communicate. It's like the in-between. The prophets is what the Bible calls them, the prophets. But those who communicate what the God or gods are saying to humans, right? The Nabi, that comes from Nabu. So that's his whole story. Tablet W, Book of Marduk by Nabu. Tablet X, Book of Crossings 2 Stargates. Tablet Y, Book of Ceremonies of Marduk. And Tablet Z, Book of Zoroastria. Yeah, Book of Zoroastria. Z-O-R-O-A. I think it's Zoroastria. Zoroastria. I think it's Zoroastria. And anyway, Tablet Z, Book of Zoroastria. And it's I think it's a little over, that starts at 384. So their total page count is 398. Right? So I don't know. We may read it, y'all. We may. Shucks. We read Legends of the Jews, and the Legends of the Jews was over 500 pages, and we got through that in a couple months. I don't know. I'm gonna keep going through it. I don't know. I gotta see. I don't know. But it should be on the table too, right? It should be. We putting it on the table. Don't know we're gonna read it, but we're gonna put it on the table. Okay, is it the 1611 Bible? I missed when your comment came in exactly what I was saying on why you asked that question, Uncle JB. Let me know. It is what the 1611 Bible. The 1611 Bible, I got my thoughts about the 1611 Bible. They done done so much changing and adding and taking away and just creating stuff. The Bible Grandma had, no, it wasn't a 16, was it? I don't think it was a 1611. Because I've looked through the 1611, where clearly they probably would have removed it anyway. I'm not going to say for certain whether it was or if it wasn't. But the 1611s I've seen doesn't have the Book of Black Magic and White Magic in it, So it could be, but what I've come across, it doesn't have it, and that could have been messed with too, and it could have been. I don't know. I would say depending on the time frame and the age of Grandma, it could have been something they had gotten generations before, and not necessarily purchased during her generation. So it could have just been passed down, which, if I remember correctly, it was passed down. So I'm not sure exactly what generation they got it and started to pass it down. I don't know, but I specifically know, I remember the conversations, because I was asked, I said, well, do you remember anything that was in it? She said, not like directly remember what the different books said. She said she'll never forget it, because she used to look through it. She don't necessarily remember what the wording and stuff in it was, she said, but she said she knew it was there, and it was in her house. So, but yeah. Zoroastrian, Zoroastria. What is they practice before they were Islam? Is what they practiced before they were Islam. You know what? I don't know. I don't know, Joy. I'm still just learning about some of this this stuff too. Yeah, definitely passed down, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna drop that truck off.
No, but we do have to go somewhere. Okay, y'all. I'm just sitting here. No, me and Dad, Tootie.
Dad said, wait.
I just saw your comment, Jen. If my pastor brother were to see my Bible library, he'd tell Dad I'm in a cult. Oh yeah, you got those family members, right? They team Jesus all the way. Anything other than Jesus is of the devil. And you done joined a cult, and we're gonna pray for you. We're gonna pray that Jesus come save your soul before you are damned to hell. Yeah, you got those kind, right? Bless them, y'all. Bless them. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get out of here. We gotta go. My husband came down here, looked at me a couple times, like, is you going or not? So, okay. Hold on. All right, y'all. So we'll pull up the blessing. Too, baby just left out of here. Bella. I'm going to just do a blessing. It's found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. You got told you was in the cult yesterday. But probably from a Christian, right? A Christian told you. A Christian said that to you, didn't they, Joy? Because it's only Christians that tell you that. That could be wrong. I don't know anybody that's not a Christian that would tell you you're in a cult. Especially, like, if you don't believe what they believe. I don't even think, I can't say because I don't know from personal experience because I've come from the Christian background. Because the Christian, yeah, that sound like Christian lingo. You in a cult. Stay away from her. For she infect everybody. Yeah, that's classic Christian lingo. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I see y'all back here Tuesday. We will not be here tomorrow. I need to check what you call it. But I think before I even say, I'm gonna check it. But tomorrow is a Sabbath. Hold on, I can tell you. I'm gonna go back. I just couldn't do it. Yeah, this is the last Sabbath. I stopped counting ahead too far and marking ahead just in case we got one of them new moons that's supposed to show according to my calculations but don't show to the next night. So I stopped doing it last year when I got myself tripped up not watching. All right, it's Tuesday the Sabbath too. I'm let me double check that. I know okay, so here, if the last Sabbath for this moon cycle is tomorrow, that means that the new moon will show sometime before the next Monday, which will probably be Tuesday, but Tuesday won't be a Sabbath. But if the new moon shows on Tuesday, then it will change. The next week, the Sabbath will be on the Tuesday, right? So, but it would be, so if tomorrow's the last Sabbath of the month and the new moon shows tomorrow, that's considered new moon day, the first day that the new moon showed, right? And then we'll begin our count on on Wednesday. That will be the first daylight of the new moon cycle. That, like, remember I said before, that's what people get it twisted up. They count new moon day, like the first day that the new moon shows, as day one. And technically it is. But to count the Sabbaths, we have to count the days of light for that month. And it showed, when the new moon shows, it showed the day has already gone out, right? So which would be the last day of daylight for the previous month that's going out. And the moon shows at night, letting us know that the first day of daylight for this moon cycle would actually be on day 2, because the moon doesn't show on the first day except for in the evening, right? So the first day of daylight would be Wednesday. Now that's day 1. actually daylight day 1, and we count the Sabbaths by the daylight, right? That's how you remember that and get the count correct. So, but if you counted 1 and then did it, then it's just gonna be off. So you count it by the days of daylight for that moon cycle. All right, y'all. That's it. I see y'all back here Tuesday morning, 7:15 a.m. bright and early, 7:30 Eastern. No, not 7:30. 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce.